No mai, hare mai. Aroha mai. Our next item is item 13, unlucky for son. Te purongo te kaunihe o Tāmaki Makaru ngā huanga Maori 21-22, Auckland Council Group Maori Outcomes Report 21 to 22. Tēnā koutou, again. I will, Matua Kake, if you move this.
Aye.
And I will second if that's okay, and then open up for discussions. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koe, te rangatira.
Nā koe te he mana, pōhiri atu, pōhiri mai, ka uki mai tāri. I'll move to the next slide, please, Sam. So, as I say, it's great to see Council's commitment to improve Maori outcomes being a key feature of the LTP, and alongside that, the commitment of the $150 million expressly for accelerating Maori outcomes. For the year in review, and this is captured in the Maori Outcome report for the year, we achieved, against a targeted spend for the full year of $18.7 million, a year-end result of $14.3 million, or 75% against the full year target. I'd like to say that we're always looking to improve that performance against the annual target for the fund, though we are very concerned to see more and more testing of the initiatives that are supported by the fund in terms of value and impact, because there are lots of candidate projects that vie for uplift against the fund. So it's looking for the most impactful initiatives from round to round. Having said that, the shortfall of the expenditure against the year-end target of around $3.5 million, half of that is automatically explained by the deferral of Te Matatini and by other projects impacted by COVID-related supply chain difficulties and other priorities with partnered groups, particularly Marae, during the period of FY 21-22. The other half of the shortfall in financial performance I put down to a mixture of just needing to get better at managing our projects in the main. But as I say, if we hadn't had the COVID disruptions, we would have got very close to the minimum target for the year of getting to at least 90% of the targeted spend for the year. And my colleague has touched on Kia ora Tāmaki Makaurau and the regular progress reports that we provide to PACE, and our effort to just continue to lift and improve the arrangements within council family to bring that performance and up to par and raise the bar from year to year. The Maori Outcomes report has been completed. The only steps remaining were to report its completion here to PACE and then await the final financial sign-off of the audited accounts for Auckland Council, which we understand is imminent. So once that step's completed, the document is then ready for public distribution or public availability. If we just talk to some of the highlights for the year that are outlined in the report, and Koro Matua Goff kind of covered these really well on Monday with the GBIMSB meeting, so I'm just cribbing from his notes a little bit and recapping some of those highlights. So while COVID and supply constraints had an impact on our big capital project, which is the Marae Investment Program, they still did pretty well with those headwinds notwithstanding. So around $6.3 million was uplifted and expended in the year in review across 6 marae in the region, including Hoani Waititi and Rerete Whioi out at Port Waikato, and they're just small descriptors of what those funds were applied to for those 2 of the 6 marae that were supported this year, and they were 2 alongside Papatuanuku Marae out at Mangere, Ngā Haue Whā at Papakura, Te Aroha up at the Kaipara, and Mō Tairehe over at Great Barrier. So it was good to get those 6 marae projects largely completed. It was good to see good coverage across the Tāmaki Makaurau region for the 6 marae that we were able to support through Claudia and her wonderful team this year. Also included in the highlights for the year were continued support for COVID welfare responses that were led by kaupapa Maori organisations and iwi-led organisations during the year in review. There was a big commitment of circa $3 million provided by Council in the year prior. And the second time round for lockdown 2021, we remoded to a smaller and more agile funding support initiative, so kind of Manaaki 2. So rather than have the big and more protracted program to assess larger funding quantums to community organisations, we went with smaller rapid-fire $10,000 grants that could be uplifted. In this case, around 30 organisations were supported by Auckland Council, which represents that close to $300,000 commitment that was able to be given. And while that looks small in comparison to the year prior, by that stage last year there was significantly more resource and support available via central government to Māori and iwi organisations. So we were able to kind of trim our cloth accordingly with the resources and funds more broadly available during that period. But again, great to be able to work with 30 Māori community partner organisations through that work. And then the final point we're touching on, before any questions or comments, Mr Chair, is working with wonderful tailwind from Toi Tu Toi Ora in the year prior, the Contemporary Māori Art Exhibition, which blew the hinges off in terms of visitation numbers and enjoyment by the Tāmaki public. And we were able to springboard off of that profile to do a range of follow-up initiatives, including a written publication or of the exhibition, local seminars, and the creation of whānau art trails, amongst a range of other things. So those are selected highlights that come from this year's Maori Outcome Report, which will be the 4th of its kind made available by Auckland Council. Kia ora, Mr Chair.
Tēnā koe te rangatira. Luann or Samini? No? Ka pai. So I'm just going to open it up for any pātai, any questions. At the moment I've got none online, but not to Wilcox.
Kia ora. E mihi ana kia koutou, e whai haere ana I te kaupapa nei. E hari koa te ngākau ki te nui o te pūte, e haere ana ki e hora ana ki ngā whānau, ki ngā marae o Tāmaki Makaurau, ko tērā te tino take o te kaupapa nei. My question relates to, and it's not specifically in this report, but it refers to the support for mana whenua who seem to be sinking under RMA and council meetings and discussions and everything else that seems to be happening. There seems to be a capacity issue that may not just be a dollar problem, but there just seems to be they just seem to be sinking or into the mud a little bit. And have we got any solution for this, or have we got any way to lessen that burden? I te mea mohi ana koe, I te taimahatanga ki te haramai ki ngā hui, e mauiwi ana e tahi o ngā kaumātou ngā koe, e kore rātou e tāe te kororo.
Through the chair, kia ora to Member Wilcox. I was trying to be careful of which parts of your kororo I was nodding to, but look, there's nothing we can point to in the year in review, but it is a big theme in the current operating year, and we have sought in recent weeks audience with the organisations for each of the 19 mana whenua iwi to have those discussions about how we can better recognise and support the capacity constraints that they face. I'm particularly, as I hope you'd expect, concerned about the cost of doing business with Auckland Council. I use business in the more liberal sense, the cost of having relationships and engagements with Auckland Council. It would be great to see our mates from central government lean in, because they do tend to try to coattail on our arrangements up here in the region. So that's a discussion to be had as well, but very much on the radar. And we hope, our objective is to have a tangible, good news story to have in the next year's iteration of this report.
Thank you.
Ka pai, there's no further pātai? Ai. Kia ora nā, ngā mihi kia koutou. And we'll see you at level 3 after we finish. That is for everybody. So look, it's been moved and seconded. So before I put the recommendation, any whakaaro, any comments? Herawini, just look, where you are, just want to acknowledge all the mahi that you've done. Since you've been here, and His Worship the Mayor actually mentioned something at the Independent Māori Statutory Board and Governing Body meeting around the short time you have been here, and, you know, the hesitation around how many, 5? Six in His Worship's, the Mayor's time here with you. As in now at Ngā Matarai. So ngā mihi to you, but also to your team with this. Kia ora nā. I'm going to put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Carried.